Today's scripture passage comes from St. Luke's Gospel, the 6th chapter. And you can see I'm here at St. Mary's Parish here in Simsbury, Connecticut. And I was here pondering and praying over today's scripture. And it's a really interesting one that has so much applicability to our present day way of living. Because God's lessons were alive, meaning they are always applicable. Well, in today's scripture passage, we find that Christ is being confronted by Pharisees, as is often the case, and he has a lesson to teach. And the Pharisees are getting in his case. They're barraging him with all of these questions about why his apostles are not being respectful of the Sabbath, because they are eating and working, in essence, by picking the grains of wheat and eating them. And they're asking the Christ, why are you allowing this to happen? And Jesus says, look, David did the same thing, and he ate food that was only to be eaten by the priest, but his people were hungry. And so the Lord is the Lord of the Sabbath. The Sabbath isn't Lord over the Lord himself. And it's this whole thing that we, even today, concern ourselves with what the rules are. Now the rules have a place. Respecting the Sabbath was important, and it should have been, but it does not supersede the welfare of the people. The Sabbath is to be something that helped the people understand who God was, which was the welfare of the people, not the opposite. That the welfare of the people did not depend on the Sabbath depended on the welfare of the people. It's like this, Lord, I pray that you are on my side, which on the surface sounds good. But a better prayer would be, Lord, I hope I'm on your side. Because you see, when we want God to be on our side, that means I'm going to be doing something, and I hope you agree. As opposed to, Lord, help me to do what you want, because I know you agree with what you want me to do. And so we have to recognize that what God truly wants of us is to love one another. And if things get in the way of that, then we need to look at what that rule or that idea that ritual is calling us to. We've forgotten or not paying attention to the joy that the ritual is pointing to. And I've said that before. I want to share with you a conundrum that I was faced with once. A priest, my pastor, who I loved, had wanted me to preach at a particular mass, and it was at 9:30. And at the time, I was on my way to church, and I was prepared. And I received a phone call from someone who was in dire need. And in their need, they asked if I could come and get them, because they were hungry and they were in danger. And so I was confronted with this. Do I adhere to what the priest asked me to do, to be there with my people, with God's people, to preach to them, or do I leave and go help the one that was in need? It was a conundrum. My humanness called me to do what the priest wanted me to do, but my spirit directed me to do what was in the welfare of one person. Well, I promptly drove to where that woman called me, who was in such trouble. And while I was on the way there, I received a call that an ambulance had come and that she was on the way to the hospital. She was going to be okay. So I turned around and was able to accomplish what the priest and what God had wanted me to do. And in that little lesson, I learned that We are to do God's will, and he'll make it work. That's why I say, Lord, every morning, what are we going to do today?